Over our collective 8 years playing Destiny, we have encountered some incredibly cool foes along the way, whether they remain in our memory for their gameplay, their design, or maybe even their lore. There is no denying that these enemies are some of the best that Destiny has to offer. Care to join me in a nostalgic journey through time? Let's do it. Kicking off our list is the Siva Iron Lords from the Rise of Iron campaign. In the years after the collapse, the world had no Guardians. It had only Iron Lords. Or at least that's what Lord Saladin told me one time. The Iron Lords sought out Siva, an ancient technology that they intended to use to bring about a new golden age for humanity. What they didn't know is that Siva had plans of its own, fighting, puppeteering, and killing the Iron Lords. It was thought that Yolder and the Iron Lords had sealed the replication chamber of Siva, thus putting an end to it. But on our return to the chamber, we would find that not only did Siva remain, but that it was using the armor remnants of Felwinter, Gellion, and Yolder to fight against us. Wielding the flaming axe that Saladin had used before us, we get to experience one of the most unique fights in Destiny history, with incredible enemies, a daunting environment, and a truly destructive ending. Next up on our list has us going into the Scourge of the Past raid currently in the Destiny content vault to find the Berserkers, a fallen variant with a unique mechanic required to execute for the kill. The Berserker was immune to all damage and would activate a slowing aura when approached by a Guardian, preventing any sprinting, boost jumping, or ability usage. When it did this, however, it would leave itself vulnerable at its chest and back. By breaking both of these crit points within a few seconds, the Berserker would be stunned and could then be killed. This enemy is what a lot of people say that modern-day champions should have been, enemies that require teamwork and mechanics to kill rather than a specific mod and weapon type. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Number 3 on our list is a Taken Phalanx, but not just any Taken Phalanx. No. The Taken Phalanx on our list is a very specific one that resides in the Cosmodrome and is encountered by Guardians in the Cade's Stash mission of the Taken King campaign. This mission has you scale an incredibly tall structure to recover Cade's hidden stealth drive at the top. Along the way, you run into many obstacles such as janky elevators and broken bridges. However, no obstacle is quite as memorable as this Taken Phalanx here, who is notorious for blasting players off of the tower to their deaths. And if you brought any friends through this mission for their first time after you already played it, don't lie, you definitely let them fall for the same trick too, and probably laughed as you watched them fly off just like you did once before. Number 4 is the one enemy on this list that we never actually kill. Whether it's a bloodthirsty piece of steel hungry for crushed bones, or just a friendly robot trying to do its job, TR3VR from the 0-hour exotic mission, more commonly known as Trevor, is one that can't be missed. It is said that Trevor was most likely created by the Cryptarchs to guard their vaults, killing anything it encountered following the fall of the tower. So perhaps Trevor is the one thing standing between you and your Destiny 1 raised lighter. But that's no reason to hate him. Like I said, he's just trying to do his job. With the 0-hour mission stowed away in the Destiny content vault, it's unknown what Trevor is up to nowadays. But if we had to guess, he's probably roaming the halls all the same, waiting for his next unsuspecting victim. Number 5 is a bit of a combination of enemies, in a sense. Rise of Iron brought us the Fallen Splicers, a faction of Fallen augmented with Siva, granting them enhanced capabilities and, quite frankly, a really demonic robot-like aesthetic. One of the most feared of these Splicers is Kovic, the Splicer Priest from the Wretched Eye Strike. Kovic is basically the mad scientist of the Fallen Splicers, but his ambitions did not end with Siva and the Fallen. He actually took particular interest with hive biology and how to further weaponize it for his own nefarious purposes. Kovic and his Splicers were able to swarm and capture a hive ogre from which Kovic extracted the eye and affixed it to his null cannon. So if his attacks look eerily like an ogre beam, well, that's because they quite literally are. Number 6 is, yeah, this one is crazy. With an exception to the environment itself, Vow of the Disciple as a whole is seen as a pretty underwhelming raid, with an over-reliance on symbol reading and tediously lengthy jumping puzzles. But the first Disciple, Rokk, is truly legendary. As the ruiner and lone survivor of the Lubraean species, Rokk exterminated and destroyed the entirety of his home planet of Lubrae. And if his lore wasn't cool enough, the fight against Rokk himself is one of the craziest things we have ever experienced in Destiny history. Destiny raid bosses have a bit of a theme, where they effectively stay in the same spot for 99% of the fight. They are more art pieces that need to be shot at rather than engaging foes. Callus, Argus, Valkaor, Atheon, Galran, the Sanctified Mind, they all have incredibly limited interaction with us in their respective fights. But Rokk? Nuh-uh. This dude is like a Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Monster Hunter World, every badass thing you can think of put together. He's so cocky and has that I'm better than you energy. He literally fights you with his hands behind his back like you aren't worth his time. And then he hits you with the dash, and then he fires a bunch of freaking laser beams, and then when you break his crit points and piss him off, he enters oh hell no mode and just starts freaking zoom, zoom, laser beams everywhere, glaive to the face, whoops, you're dead, get ran, idiot, more dashes, more laser beams, just pop, 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 pop. Now, that's cool and all, but we saved the best for last, and absolutely nothing Rokk does comes anywhere near the kick. Masterpiece. Sticking with the theme of large melee weapons, Alakul is entering our list at number... Wait, sorry, let me clarify. Alakul the Dark Blade. Sorry, Allah, not cool. Your spooky dungeon, sunless cell, it's not a phase mom version is just way cooler. If there was ever an arena in Destiny that made you rethink playing video games at nighttime, it was definitely this one. This boss fight entailed a shadow teleporting, roided up knight with a battle axe taller than God, in an arena that was only lit up by the explosions of dying cursed thrall. Not to mention the exotic sword quests that required you to head down into that prison at a harder difficulty to kill both a match game shielded knight and Alakul himself within like 30 seconds of each other. Yeah, some men didn't make it back from that one. And those who did returned with battle scars and fully grown beards. If this strike taught us one thing, it's that if you ever feel like you are alone, don't worry. Just remember,
Alakul is near.
Number 8 on our list is, well, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one, but Baby Screebs. Listen, I know for the first week they went invisible and ran underground and still blew you up, but then Bungie patched all of that, after which, yeah, okay, they still went invisible and ran underground and blew you up, but that's not the point. For a long time, the community's number one complaint when it came to Grandmaster Nightfalls was that they wanted difficulty in the form of mechanics and modifiers rather than bullet sponge enemies, and equip this mod simulator. And to Bungie's credit, despite how broken they were, Baby Screebs were an absolute genius matchup to the Grandmaster variant of the Hollowed Lair. I would pay good money to know what Bungie employee brainstormed the idea of, hey, y'all know that perk in Call of Duty called Martyrdom, where if you die, you drop a frag grenade on your body? What if, and hear me out, the grenade had legs? Now, I'm sorry, but that's just good game design. Next up on our list is the pick you knew was bound to end up on here somewhere. I could literally give you one guess, and I guarantee you would be able to figure it out. Got a name in your head? Does it rhyme with the shaken wing? Oryx, the Taken King, has to make the list. It's just part of the rules. But it's not for the reasons you might think. Remember back when I was talking about Rokk, when I said that most raid bosses have a theme of just being something pretty to look at that you don't actually interact with until DPS phase? Well, Oryx is one of those enemies, considering he could be replaced by a Choco Taco and the fight would still function the same. But the lore behind this guy is just unbelievable. Born as a species that historically only lives for like an average of 2 days, finds a worm god, makes a pact with the worm god, kills a bunch of stuff, finds another worm god, kills that worm god, sticks an engine into its dead carcass and calls it his ship, and then starts pointing at dudes and saying, hey, you work for me now, and their response is, okay, yes sir, no questions asked. And then we walk in with our superhero plot armor, where we automatically win every fight no matter what, and he hits the most baller move of the century and uses his taking ability to take himself, so we have to go for a round 2? Yeah, that's a well-written enemy. Number 10 is another lore-based pick, and is actually closely related to Oryx and Coria, a taken Vex Hydra, also known as the Blade Transform or the Dreaming Mind, both of which are contenders for like the coolest titles anything has ever been called. Coria was a Vex Axis Mind Hydra, that's a mouthful, created by the Vex for the purposes of conquering Oryx's throne world by gaining an understanding of Hive sword logic. Unsuccessful in its attempts, Coria was taken by Oryx and then gifted to Savathun, the Witch Queen, where she was then used to fuel the curse on the Dreaming City, locking the destination in a perpetual time loop of combat and death to empower Savathun's worm with each taken life. That was a lot of made-up spooky words, so let's break that down. She basically rewinded time continuously so the same enemies could keep dying over and over again to make her boss stronger in an infinite loop. If that ain't cool, then I don't know what is. And also, again, Blade Transform? I need a cool title like that. Number 11 is the Shield Brothers, which, by the way, I'm like 99% sure they were called the Bond Brothers, and even when I was writing the script and picking enemies to showcase, I jotted them down as the Bond Brothers, but all of the Destiny Wikipedia pages and whatnot say the strike was called Shield Brothers, so either I'm living in a different universe, have the worst memory in human history, or this is one of the greatest examples of the Mandela effect ever recorded. Either way, we talk a lot about how Destiny 1 strikes would fit into the Destiny 2 sandbox, especially when it comes to Grandmaster Nightfalls. Strikes like Fallen Saber and Devil's Lair have been brought forward and absolutely smashed by your juiced up Guardians. But I feel like the Shield Brothers would put up a solid fight in Destiny 2. With one dolphin diving you and the other firing off artillery missiles non-stop, these guys were absolutely sick. And who couldn't love the Titan chainsaw gloves that you could get from beating them? Now, we've had a lot of campaign bosses in Destiny, from a weird Vex boy whose name is awfully close to Pop-Tarts, to a supposed worm god that we can kill with primary ammo. But I've always felt like Destiny hit the nail on the head with their very first campaign boss in Destiny 2's history, Gall. If you really think about it, we aren't actually so different from Gall. Both of us go on tyrannical rampages, exterminating anything that we personally deem evil in dedication to the Traveler. Only difference is Gall actually acquired the light, whereas we were simply gifted it. You tell me which one's more impressive. I've also never heard of a Guardian having all three subclasses equipped at the same time, like we saw in the final boss fight against him, so yeah, that's pretty cool. And I'm like 99% sure he would have curb stomped us when he went glow mode if it weren't for the Traveler's intervention. Theatrics aside though, my favorite thing about Gall had to be that, well, you could kinda sympathize with him. All he wanted to do was be a child of the light just like we were, and he was willing to go to any length to prove his worth. And when he was finally recognized before his demise, you could almost hear a sort of fulfillment within his voice. Almost makes you tear up a little bit. Now, no Destiny enemy list is complete without one of the most puzzling, hilarious, and formidable enemies the game has ever seen. Randall the Vandal. In the forgotten shore of the Cosmodrome lived a Reaver Vandal that seemingly had millions of HP and would one-shot you in the blink of an eye. One of the most interesting things about Randall, however, was that he was not a consistent spawn. Usually this Reaver Vandal would have a normal amount of health and damage just like any other enemy in Destiny. But once in a blue moon, for whatever unknown reason, Randall would emerge, and his reign would stretch centuries. Let me know what enemy you would have put on this list. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.